Homeless black boy saves baby. What happens next? Shocks. All the glass cracked as the toddler's hand banged weakly against the car window. Her cries muffled beneath the summer heat. Darius was already running. He had seen the car just sitting there, engine off. No shade, windows rolled up. But it was the baby's scream, sharp and panicked, that made his instincts take over. People were gathering on the sidewalk. Some were yelling, others pointing, a few already filming with their phones. But no one moved. Nobody ever moved when it counted. Somebody help her, a woman cried. Darius didn't wait. His bare feet smacked hard against the scalding pavement. His ribs showed through his sweat-soaked tank top. His jeans 2 sizes too big, cinched with a piece of rope he'd pulled from a dumpster last week. No shoes, no phone, no hesitation. The SUV's windows were fogged from the heat inside. He could barely see the infant, strapped in her car seat, face red and sweaty, lips starting to turn pale. He yanked at the handle locked. The girl inside looked no older than 1. Her cries had turned to whimpers, her eyes fluttered. Darius felt his stomach drop. He backed up, scanned the curb. Trash gum, a rusted can, a broken brick. He snatched the brick, raised it above his head, and slammed it against the back passenger window. Crack. Nothing. People flinched. He hit it again, harder, and this time the brick slipped, slicing a deep gash into his palm. Blood spattered across the glass. One more time. He roared, swung with both hands. Chatter. The glass exploded inwards, and Darius reached in without flinching. He cut his arm climbing through, but he didn't care. He crawled over the seat and unbuckled the baby with shaking hands. She was boiling, unresponsive. He pulled her close, cradling her like something sacred, and stumbled back out. She's not breathing. Someone shouted behind him. A woman ran forward and took the baby gently, laying her down and beginning CPR. A man called 911. Someone else wrapped Darius's bleeding hand in a scarf, but the boy said nothing. He just watched, stunned, breathing hard, blood dripping down his elbow. Within moments, a high-pitched cough came from the baby. Then another. She was breathing, but Darius was already walking away. Before the cops arrived, before the reporters could ask questions, before anyone could snap a clear photo, he slipped through the crowd like smoke, down an alley, around a corner, and into the shadows. No one even asked his name. By evening, the video was everywhere. A teenager with dark skin, bony arms, no shoes, and a bloodied hand, seen sprinting, full speed, smashing the car window, saving a baby. The internet called him the mystery hero. News stations looped the footage. Talk shows debated. Online detectives tried to enhance the video to find clues. Who is this boy? Why did he run? He looks homeless. Is he okay? Is this staged? Where is this kid? The baby's mother gave a tearful statement. She had run into a store for just a minute, leaving her infant daughter asleep in the back. It had only been 10 minutes, maybe 15, but in that time, the inside of the car reached over 120 degrees, and that would have been enough to kill her, if not for him. That night, Darius sat beneath a crumbling railway bridge, on a blanket he shared with 2 other runaways. His hand throbbed, still wrapped in an old sock. He'd rinsed it in a gas station sink, but the wound kept reopening. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. There were shelters, sure, but shelters asked questions. Questions led to files. Files led to things Darius couldn't afford, not when you had secrets. He stared up at the moonlight, slicing through the steel beams above. He didn't know the world was looking for him, didn't know that hashtags with his blurry image were trending, that news helicopters were hovering above neighborhoods looking for a match. He only knew the baby was alive, and somehow, that was enough, until the car came. A black sedan rolled slowly past the alley. Darius ducked deeper behind the pillar. Maybe it was a cop, maybe someone looking to rob him. He pressed his body against the cold wall, silent. The sedan stopped, backed up, its headlights scanned the bridge's underbelly, cutting across graffiti and piles of trash. The passenger door opened with a click. A white man stepped out, suit, polished shoes, calm, rich. Darius. The man called gently. That's your name, right? Darius didn't answer. The man took a careful step forward. You saved a baby today, smashed a window with your bare hand, then vanished. Pause. I've been looking for you, but not because of what happened today. Another pause. Because of something that happened years ago. Darius narrowed his eyes. Who are you? The man smiled, like he'd been waiting for that question. I knew your mother. A stranger knows his name. What he says breaks the boy. The words struck Darius harder than the brick had struck the window. I knew your mother. He stared at the man, his legs ready to bolt, but something about the stranger's voice held him in place. It wasn't threatening. It was heavy, like he wasn't just saying something, he was remembering it. Darius felt the lump in his throat harden. You're lying. The man didn't react. She was 17. Auburn braids, laugh like a radio jingle. Lived on 43rd and Maple, in a beat-up duplex, with a cracked green door. Darius blinked. Nobody knew that. Not here. Not now. Not in this city. She died when I was 5, Darius whispered. I know, the man said softly. I was there, the night it happened. Everything inside Darius screamed to run, but his feet stayed planted. How do you know me? He asked finally, his voice rough. The man stepped closer, carefully. Because I've been looking for you for years. My name is Henry Lawson. I worked with your mother. Sort of. Watched over her. She trusted me. You mean she cleaned your house or something? No, he said calmly. She saved my life. That made Darius squint. Henry reached into his coat slowly, like he didn't want to spook the boy, and pulled out a folded photo. He held it out. Darius hesitated before snatching it. It was old and faded. A woman with soft brown eyes and crooked braids smiled into the camera. A little boy no older than for clinging to her hip. Her face was unforgettable, warm, familiar. His mother, Darius's hand tightened around the photo. Where did you get this? She gave it to me the night before she died. A silence fell. The sounds of the city buzzed in the distance. A siren, the hum of tires on wet asphalt, a dog barking far away. But under the bridge, it was still. How'd she die? Darius asked. They said overdose. But I don't believe it. She didn't overdose, Henry said quietly. She was trying to protect you. From someone. From something she knew was coming. That caught Darius off guard. She told me, if anything ever happened to her, I needed to find you. Keep you safe. Henry paused. But by the time I came looking, you were already gone. Into the system. Moved 3 times in 2 years. Then disappeared. Until today. Darius looked down at his hands. His bandage was soaked red. He could still feel the heat of the baby's skin, the raw fear in her tiny body. Why now? He asked. Why today? Because you showed yourself. You did something extraordinary. Something your mother would have done. I broke into a car. You saved a life. Henry knelt slightly, leveling his eyes with Darius's. Listen to me. You've been surviving. I get that. But you weren't meant to be out here alone. You're not just some kid on the street. Your mother had secrets. And if you're ready, I'll tell you everything. Darius's jaw clenched. His stomach growled loudly, embarrassing him. Are you hungry? Henry asked, as if he hadn't noticed. There's a diner 2 blocks away. We'll eat, talk. You don't owe me anything. You can walk away after if you want. Darius didn't speak. Then, slowly, he nodded. The diner smelled like coffee, eggs, and floor cleaner. Warm. Yellow lights glowed above red vinyl booths. It wasn't crowded, just 2 old ladies playing cards and a tired waitress refilling salt shakers. They sat in the corner. Darius hunched low, wary of stares. Henry ordered pancakes, eggs, bacon, and orange juice. Darius kept looking at the door. When the food came, he ate like someone might snatch it away, like this was all a dream that could vanish. Henry waited. Okay, Darius finally said, mouth full. Talk. Henry leaned forward. Your mother's name was Teresa. When she was 16, she got tangled up with some powerful people, rich people, people who made their money in the dark. She saw something she wasn't supposed to, a shipment, a file, I don't know what. She was a cleaner in one of their buildings. Darius frowned. What kind of shipment? Henry shook his head. I don't know, but it scared her. She left everything, disappeared, changed cities, changed her name, and you. I worked for the same people, Henry admitted, but when she came to me, terrified and desperate, I helped her. She was pregnant with you. Darius's eyes narrowed. So you helped us disappear. I tried, but they found her. She called me the night before, said she was scared, that she heard someone outside the house. I got there 10 minutes too late. Darius looked away. She was gone, Henry said softly. And you were missing. Darius clenched his fist. Why didn't anyone tell me this? He snapped. Why? Did they say she overdosed? Why did I spend years in homes with strangers? Because someone wanted you forgotten. The words chilled the air. Henry leaned closer. You're not just some orphan. Your mother knew something that could still hurt the people at the top, and I think you may know it too. Darius looked confused. You were there that night. Darius, Henry said quietly. You saw something. You just don't remember it yet. The memory resurfaces, and a shadow returns. Darius sat frozen, the fork halfway to his mouth. You were there that night, Henry repeated gently. You saw something. Maybe you blocked it out, but it's still there, in you. The diner buzzed around them, coffee brewing, the soft hum of conversation, the clang of dishes in the kitchen. But Darius couldn't hear any of it now, just the sound of his own heart. He set the fork down. I don't remember anything, he mumbled. Henry nodded. That's okay. Trauma does that. It hides things away. But sometimes, when you stop running long enough, it starts to come back. Darius stared out the window. It was raining now. The streets shimmered under the neon signs outside. He didn't remember what it smelled like that night, or how loud it was. Just flashes, the red light under the door, the sound of a voice yelling his name, and cold fingers gripping his wrist. Was it Darius asked suddenly. That night, someone came into the house, right? Henry's face tightened. Yes. Was it more than one? Yes. Darius swallowed hard. And you're saying they killed her because she knew something? I believe they were afraid she would talk, Henry said quietly. She had proof of something. She said she hid it. I've spent years trying to figure out where the people she ran from. They're still around, still dangerous. Darius stared at his scraped hands. Why didn't you find me sooner? Henry looked ashamed for the first time. I tried, but the system buried you. You went through 5 different group homes, then ran. I lost track after that. Until today. Darius suddenly sat back in the booth, his chest tight. He didn't want to cry. Not here, not in front of this man. But the truth was louder than pride. He was tired of sleeping in cold places, tired of stealing socks and dodging cops, tired of looking over his shoulder and pretending he didn't care. He wanted a warm bed, a hot shower, someone to say his name like it meant something. And yet, part of him didn't trust this. Couldn't. What do you want from me? He asked cautiously. I want to protect you, Henry said. And I want to help you figure out what your mother died trying to keep hidden. Darius shook his head. What if I don't want to remember? Henry sighed. That's your choice. But the people who came after her, they may not care what you want. If they think you remember, they'll come for you. That stopped him cold. A flicker of fear crossed his face. Henry lowered his voice. That's why I need you to come with me. Somewhere safe. Somewhere you won't be found. Darius stared at the steam rising off his plate. Everything in him screamed to run, to vanish again. But he also knew what it felt like to be hunted by shadows. And right now, he wasn't sure how many of them were still behind him. Finally, he whispered, Where would we go? Henry smiled faintly. I have a safe house. Upstate. Isolated. Quiet. It's not forever. Just long enough for us to figure out what's really going on. Darius hesitated, then nodded once. That night, they drove north. Darius sat in the back seat of the black sedan, hoodie pulled over his head, eyes darting between the passing streetlights. The further they got from the city, the more the buildings disappeared, replaced by trees, fog, and long quiet roads. Around midnight, they reached a gravel driveway that twisted through thick woods. At the end stood a 2-story cabin, tucked into the trees, dark, peaceful, but sturdy, like it could withstand a storm. Inside, it was warm. A fireplace crackled in the living room. The kitchen smelled like cinnamon and old wood. There was even a stack of fresh towels on the couch. You'll sleep upstairs, Henry said gently. Hot water's working. Clean clothes in the closet. You're safe here. Darius looked at him, unsure. Why are you helping me? Really? Henry paused. His eyes softened. Because I failed your mother once. I won't do it again. Darius showered that night for the first time in what felt like months. He washed blood from his palm, dirt from his feet, and watched as the water turned red then clear. He changed into clean clothes, warm socks, a cotton t-shirt, soft sweatpants. He stood in front of the mirror. For a moment, he didn't recognize himself. No filth, no cuts, no stares from strangers who saw him as a threat or a problem. Just a boy, 14, quiet, alive. He crawled into bed and pulled the thick quilt to his chin. The cabin was so quiet it felt strange. His body was tired, but his mind was racing. And then, in the stillness, came the image, a flash. The green door kicked in. A man in a mask, screaming, his mother shouting, "Take him and go." A gun, a flash of light, his little legs running, a trapdoor under the floor. Darkness. Darius sat up, gasping, his hands shook. He grabbed the edge of the blanket, eyes wide. He remembered something else, a silver key hanging from a chain, around his mother's neck, and her words, "If something happens to me, don't lose this. They'll come for it." Darius got out of bed and opened his backpack, the only thing he still had from the day he ran from his last group home. Inside, at the very bottom, beneath an old hoodie and a crumpled paper bag, was a tiny velvet pouch he had never opened. His mother had sewn it shut and slipped it in his backpack the week before she died. His fingers trembled as he cut it open with his teeth. Inside was a silver key, thin, old, with strange etching on the handle. His heart dropped. She had hidden it all this time, and now he had it. The key unlocks a hidden past, but darkness follows. The silver key felt heavier than it looked. Darius held it in the moonlight, spilling through the cabin window, the etched markings on the handle catching glints of silver blue. His thumb traced over them, wondering what had opened, and why it had to be hidden for so long. A part of him wanted to run to Henry right away, shove the key in his hand, and demand answers, but something inside him said no, not yet. This was his mother's final message to him. He needed to understand it for himself. He tucked the key into his sock, pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders, and stared at the fire burning low in the living room below. Sleep never came. By morning, Darius sat at the kitchen table, the key beside a bowl of oatmeal he hadn't touched. Henry entered with 2 mugs of coffee, still in his flannel shirt and slippers. "You okay?" Henry asked. Darius didn't look up. He pushed the key across the table. "I found this last night." Henry froze. "Where?" "She sewed it into my bag. I never looked until now." Henry picked it up carefully, like it might crumble in his hands. This is it. The key Teresa told me about." Darius leaned forward. "What does it open?" "I don't know, but she said it would lead to the truth. Something she kept locked away. Something that could bring down the men who killed her." Henry stood and walked to the bookshelf. He pulled out an old folder from between 2 encyclopedias. Inside were papers, letters, and a map, hand-drawn with a black marker. He unfolded it and laid it on the table. "This is the place," he said, pointing to a spot circled in red. "A storage unit. She told me she rented it under a false name right before she went into hiding." Darius stared at it. "Why didn't you go before?" "I didn't have the key," Henry replied. "She never told me where it was, only that she gave it to someone safe. I always assumed it was lost." Darius's voice was quiet. "It wasn't lost. It was with me, this whole time." They left the cabin before noon, Henry driving, Darius quiet in the passenger seat, clutching the key in his hoodie pocket like it was made of glass. The road was long, winding back toward the city, but the air felt heavier now. Somewhere deep inside, Darius felt something turning, like a door was about to open, not just in the world, but in his own past. The storage unit was tucked behind a line of shuttered factories, surrounded by cracked concrete and chain-link fences. It looked abandoned, forgotten, like the kind of place nobody would go unless they had to. Henry parked. "You ready?" Darius nodded. They walked past rows of old metal doors, until they reached one marked 31B. Henry reached for the lock, a heavy padlock, rusted but intact. Darius pulled the silver key from his pocket. His fingers trembled, slid it in. It turned. Click. The door creaked upward, groaning on its tracks. Inside was darkness. Henry reached for the light switch on the wall. A single bulb flickered to life overhead, casting dim yellow light into the room. There were boxes stacked against the walls, a small metal filing cabinet, and in the corner, a safe, old, steel, scratched. Henry crossed the room and brushed dust from the front of the safe. He checked it. It was locked tight, with a traditional keyhole right in the center. "Try it," he said. Darius stepped forward and inserted the key. It fit. He turned it. Click. The safe door popped open. Inside were stacks of documents, folders wrapped in plastic, and an old black flip phone. Henry carefully pulled the contents out and laid them on a folding table in the corner. "These look like financial records," he muttered. "Wire transfers, names, locations." Darius frowned. What kind of records? Henry flipped through them. Offshore accounts, shell companies, payouts made to men linked to corrupt business deals, human trafficking, arms movement. He stopped suddenly, eyes locked on a name. Trent Beckford. Darius looked up. Who's that? Henry's face turned pale. He's the man who killed your mother. The name hit like a brick. Darius stared at the folder, his heart thudding in his chest. How do you know? Because he was my boss. Years ago, I worked in his office. I saw the clubs. I overheard calls. Your mother found out he was funding private shipments across borders, illegal ones. She threatened to go to the press. Henry's hands trembled as he spoke. But this, he held up the files. This is hard evidence. Your mother must have collected it, and she hid it in this safe, knowing someone would come looking. Darius's throat tightened. So what happens now? Henry looked him in the eyes. Now we go to someone who can expose it. But we have to be careful. If Beckford finds out this still exists. Bang! A loud crack echoed across the concrete lot. Henry dropped the file. Darius froze. Then a voice outside the unit. You think we weren't watching? Henry shoved Darius to the ground behind. The tables stay down. Gunshots. The metal door sparked as bullets ripped into it from the outside. Henry grabbed the folder and tossed it to Darius. Take it back, exit. Behind the cabinet. What about you? I'll distract them. Go. Darius hesitated, then ran. He kicked the cabinet aside, revealing a rusted trapdoor in the concrete floor, chained and dusty. He yanked it open and dropped into darkness just as another shot tore through the unit above. He hit the ground hard, clutching the folder, heart racing. Footsteps echoed behind him. He didn't look back. He ran on the run with the truth, and a face from the Pastorius ran through the pitch-black tunnel, heart pounding. Folder clutched tightly to his chest. He didn't know how long the underground path went, or where it would lead. All he knew was that gunfire had exploded above him, and Henry had told him to run. The floor beneath him was cracked cement, scattered with debris, and every few feet he nearly tripped on old piping or broken bricks. The tunnel twisted left, then right. Water dripped from above, the air damp and cold, then light, a weak glow, like daylight filtering in through a grate. Darius sprinted toward it, scrambled up a short ladder, and shoved open a rusted steel door that led into a forgotten alleyway behind a strip of boarded-up buildings. He burst into the open dot, no one there. He breathed hard, pressing the folder to his chest, then quickly slipped it into his backpack. Henry, the name hit him like a punch. Was he alive? Had he gotten out? He wanted to go back. Every part of him screamed too, but the gunshots had made it clear they were being hunted, and if they caught Darius with that folder, he wouldn't live to regret it. He kept walking, through back streets, under fences, hopping from shadow to shadow. He moved like a ghost, avoiding crowds and cameras. He knew the alleys, the cut-throughs, the places cops didn't check, and rich folks avoided. By nightfall, he was back where it all started, under the bridge. His blanket was still there, his old backpack shoved behind a rusted pipe. He sat down slowly, pulled the folder from his bag, and laid the contents out beneath the soft orange glow of a nearby street lamp. Names. Bank transfers, shipment logs, fake passports, codes. He didn't understand most of it, but the names. Trent Beckford, Senator Royce, Elijah Crane. He recognized some of them from billboards, news reports, and scandal headlines. Powerful people, men in suits, untouchable, and his mother had tried to expose them. Alone. Suddenly, something slipped from one of the documents, a small envelope. Inside was a folded note in faded handwriting. If you're reading this, I didn't make it, but you did. Darius, I love you more than anything. What I found can't stay hidden. Use it, or give it to someone who will. Trust no one until you're sure. Mom. His hands trembled as he read it again. She'd known, she'd planned for this. A noise behind him. Footsteps. Darius jumped up, snatched the folder, and slipped back into the shadows beneath the bridge. Darius, a voice whispered. He stopped. Cold. It wasn't a stranger. It was a voice he hadn't heard in years, not since the last group home before he vanished. He turned slowly. A girl stood a few feet away, bundled in a ragged coat, her thick curls tucked under a beanie. Her face looked older now, but her eyes hadn't changed. Amira, he breathed. She smiled weakly. I knew it was you. I saw the video, the baby in the car. I knew how you ran, how you moved. I never forgot. He stared at her, stunned. How did you find me? I never stopped looking, she said, stepping closer. Not really, I've been on the street too, off and on. And then I heard some guys talking about a black kid with files near the old warehouse district. His heart dropped. They're looking for you, Darius. And they're not just street thugs. They're paid. Mira looked around, pulled her coat tighter. You have something, don't you? Something big. He slowly pulled out the folder. Her eyes widened. Is that from your mom? He nodded. Amira knelt beside him. We can't stay here. If they find you, you're done. We need to go somewhere safe. Darius hesitated. Henry, the guy who helped me, he might still be alive. If he is, she said, he'll find you. But you staying in one place too long will get you killed. They moved at dawn. Amira led him to an abandoned church on the edge of the city. Broken stained glass, moldy pews, a crumbling bell tower. But underneath, in the old basement, there was a crawl space. Dry, hidden, safe. They stayed there for hours. Amira brought him food, and they took turns keeping watch at the tiny window. Darius told her everything, the key, the safe, the gunfire, the names in the folder. Amira listened without blinking. Then she said something that made his blood go cold. Trent Beckford. I know that name. He funds shelters, pretends to help runaways. But kids disappear from those places. I knew a girl, Lala. She went in, never came out. Darius clenched his fists. So it's not just politics, it's worse. Amira nodded grimly. This folder, it's enough to bury them all. But not if they find you first. Darius's mind raced. I have to get this to someone. Someone who'll go public. Not the police, they're probably bought. But maybe a journalist, an independent one. Amira pulled out an old burner phone. There's a reporter. Her name's Riley Green. She exposed a trafficking ring in Texas. She doesn't work for anyone but herself. If anyone will believe you, it's her. Darius stared at her. Can we trust her? We don't have a choice, she said. Later that night, they made the call. Riley answered on the third ring. Her voice was cautious, clipped. How did you get this number? Darius took a breath. My name is Darius. My mother died protecting a secret. I have proof of what she found. Names, documents. I need help. There was silence on the line. Then, where are you? I'll send you the location, Amira said. But you come alone, or it's over. Riley agreed. The call ended. Darius looked out the tiny basement window again, at the city glowing in the distance. For the first time, he didn't feel like he was running. He was moving forward, but far across the city, in a high-rise office lit by cold blue lights. A man in a pressed black suit picked up a phone. Yeah, he said into the receiver. We found the boy. He's alive, and he has the files. A pause. Then the man added darkly, no more games. I want him dead by tomorrow. The truth breaks free, and a boy becomes a voice. The church basement felt colder the next morning. Darius sat by the window, wide awake, despite the exhaustion burning behind his eyes. The folder lay beside him, now sealed inside a worn leather satchel Amira had found in one of the old confessionals. Today was the day. Today, the truth would either rise or die with him. Amira stirred beside him, rubbing her eyes and pulling her coat tighter. She whispered. This Riley Green. She's not one of them. Darius nodded. He wanted to believe that, but too many people in his life had smiled before hurting him. Trust didn't come easy anymore. A knock. 3 taps. Pause. 2 more. Just like they'd agreed, Darius and Amira exchanged a glance. She reached behind her for the small rusted crowbar they'd kept near their makeshift bedrolls. Darius stepped cautiously toward the basement entrance. Another knock. Same pattern. He opened the door a crack. A woman stood outside, sharp eyes, camera bag slung over her shoulder, dark curls tied back in a braid. She looked like someone who'd seen too much, but hadn't stopped looking. Darius, she asked softly. He nodded. I'm Riley. They sat in silence at first, Riley flipping through the documents by flashlight, her expression shifting from disbelief to grim recognition to horror. This is enough to blow up half the state, she muttered. It connects Beckford to illegal shipments, missing children, bribed senators, even to dead whistleblowers. These aren't just names. This is a blueprint of evil. She looked up. How did you get this? Darius hesitated, then told her everything. The baby in the car, Henry, his mother, the key, the tunnel, the gunfire. He even told her about the note. Riley listened without interrupting. When he finished, she leaned back slowly. "I've been chasing ghosts for 5 years," she said. "But you just handed me the truth, and it cost you everything." Darius looked down. Henry might be dead. "I don't even know if he got out." "I have sources," she said. "I'll find out." "Can you protect us?" Amira asked. Her voice was low but steady. Riley's jaw tightened. "I can do better than that. I can make sure they're the ones who start running." It moved fast after that. Riley didn't wait. Within hours, the documents were scanned, encrypted, and sent to multiple trusted outlets. Not mainstream news. They were too slow, too cautious. Riley had learned to work in the shadows. Her blog, The Green Truth, posted the full story before sunrise. With it came videos, audio clips, names, photos, and the headline that would crack the city's silence. "Whistleblower's son survives assassination. Attempt leaks explosive. Files tying Senator CEO to human trafficking ring." It spread like wildfire. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, Instagram. Hashtags blew up overnight. Hashtag Beckford Files. By noon, protests had started outside Beckford's luxury estate. By evening, FBI agents were seen entering one of his private offices. Darius and Amira watched from the basement on Riley's tablet. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he whispered, "She did it." Amira looked at him. "My mum. She tried to stop them, and now she has." Amira touched his hand gently. "No, you did." But peace didn't come instantly. The next night, gunmen tried to break into the church. Riley's contact in the DOJ had warned her just in time. She moved Darius and Amira through a secret network of whistleblower protection houses. They rode in unmarked vans, changed clothes twice, and slept in 3 different locations across 2 states. By the 4th day, arrest warrants were issued. Trent Beckford, captured on live television, in a bathrobe, shouting as federal agents led him away. Senator Royce resigned hours later, his bank accounts frozen. One by one, the names in the folder began to fall, and with every arrest, Darius felt a little piece of the weight lift off his chest. 2 weeks later, Riley asked him something he never expected. "I'm speaking at a press conference," she said. "The world needs to know who this story really belongs to. You don't have to come. You're just a kid. But if you want, I think you should be the one to tell it." Darius froze. He wasn't a speaker. He wasn't someone people listened to. He was the kid who used to steal socks, who lived in shadows, who ran from everything, including himself. But now, maybe it was time to stop running. He said yes. The press conference was packed. Cameras, reporters, floodlights. Darius stood at the podium in a clean hoodie, his hair brushed back, hands trembling slightly at his sides. Amira stood nearby. Riley too, all waiting. He took a breath, then spoke. "My name is Darius. I'm 14. 2 weeks ago, I was just a homeless kid under a bridge. But my mom, Teresa, she wasn't just some girl from the wrong part of town. She was a hero. She tried to stop something evil, and they killed her for it. But she gave me a key, and today, it opened more than a door. It opened the truth." The room was silent. Even the cameras seemed to pause. "This isn't about me," he said. "It's about all the kids no one sees. The ones who go missing and are never found. The ones who scream, but no one listens. I was one of them. But now I won't be silent, and neither should you." He stepped back, eyes wet, heart pounding. People stood. They clapped. Some cried. He had never heard applause before. Months later, Darius lived in a quiet house by the sea, in a safe location arranged through federal protection. He went to school online, wrote in a journal every day. He still had nightmares, but they were fewer now. Amira stayed with him. Riley checked in often. And one morning, a letter came in the mail. It was from Henry. He was alive, recovering in a private hospital, under protection. He ended his note with 6 simple words. "Your mother would be proud, Darius." Darius folded the letter gently and placed it next to the silver key, now framed on his desk. He smiled for the first time in what felt like forever. The Motivational note. Sometimes, the people with the least power hold the greatest truth. And sometimes, a single act of courage, even from a boy with nothing, can shake the world.